What is going on, guys? Nutris here with Week 5 Fantasy Outlook. I loved the last one. You guys loved the last one. A lot of my stuff that I said hit, and I'm in a good mood for this, okay? Like, I have a good feeling about doing this on my channel. I have a good feeling I'm going to give you guys accurate stuff. So we're just going to keep moving forward with it. And yeah, I'm willing to keep taking any questions. We didn't receive any on the first episode, but if you have questions whether you should trade or start somebody, always let me know. We're gonna go through the regulars. We're gonna do start 'em, sit 'em, waiver ads, and who you could just drop now. Buy low guys and sell high guys. So first, we're gonna start with the QBs. Last week I had Gardner Minshew on my sit of the week. I was pretty wrong. He had 20 something points, 21, 22, which isn't, like, you know, it's not great, but it's good. Like, if you get 20 points out of your QB, you're happy. He's playing Houston this week. They're 14th, but they've been trailing in a lot of games. They're a bad team, man. I think he's a good bet. He's gotten 23 out of his 4 weeks, so he's pretty consistent. The 1 week I started him, of course, it was the 1 week that he didn't put up 20, he put up like 8. So I think you're confident starting Gardner. I think he's a lock for start of the week this week. I don't think there's any way he could do bad. I also put Teddy Bridgewater. This was close, deciding who of them would be start of the week. Bridgewater had 26 points last week, and it's only going to get better. I mean, he's going against Atlanta, who's 32nd. You saw Rodgers carved them up yesterday. They have a really bad defense. I would definitely rock Bridgewater. Hopefully he gets you some rushing yards. It's going to be a shootout in Atlanta for sure. Then I got Justin Herbert versus New Orleans. New Orleans D has definitely been susceptible so far, so I think Herbert can definitely do some work. I was wrong about him on my sit-em last week. He got 23, I think, versus Tampa Bay, so he's a pretty good bet too to start almost every week now. So I put him there for now. Kirk Cousins versus Seattle, they're 31st ranked. I nailed Ryan Fitzpatrick versus Seattle, so I think that Seattle right now is like start any quarterback who faces them because their passing defense just keeps getting worse. And then I have Big Ben versus Philly. They have like a 9th ranked defense versus QBs, but they are ass, yo. Like, Ben's gonna carve them up. If you have him, I would start him. I don't think he's a bad bet at all. And then here's kind of a sleeper. He's been ass, don't get me wrong, but Daniel Jones versus Dallas. Dallas has been so bad. We have no run game, so we're gonna have to throw, and their defense is bad. So I think Jones is gonna do something. And he's been starting to run more, so you might start getting rushing yards out of him. I think if you're desperate for a QB this week, I don't think Daniel Jones is that bad of a play. Sit of the week, Tom Brady. He just lit up the Chargers, but it's not happening again. The Bears have a great defense. I would not put anybody against them right now, and that includes old man Tom. I love Brady, and he's been good, but this week definitely sit him. He had a bad game in this season already versus a good defense, so just don't even bother. We also have Derek Carr versus Kansas City, 5th. Kansas City clamped on Hoyer, and I know that's Hoyer, but their defense just looks really good. They're getting better and better. Carr has been like, he's been doing decent in fantasy. This week I would not start him though. Wentz versus Pittsburgh. He actually shocked me and gave up he had a decent outing versus San Fran, but Pittsburgh's gonna be even harder. I mean, their D is better than San Fran when San Fran is hurt like this, so I would sit him. I don't know why anybody would start him anyways, but he's definitely on my sit-em. And then Foles versus Tampa Bay. Nick Foles, when he's a starter, is like literally not good. He's only good when he comes off the bench or he's playing in a clutch game or something. Otherwise, don't touch him. Goff versus Washington. I was wrong about him versus the Giants as my start of the week, which sucked. I felt bad about that. But this week, I definitely wouldn't start him after what he just did. Washington's defense is bad, but what happened last week? Like, I don't know. I just wouldn't trust it. And then Matt Ryan versus Carolina. Matt Ryan's kind of the guy you could start every week, but this is 2 outings that haven't been great lately. You could start him again, but Carolina has a tough defense. That's why I'm saying if you got any of the guys up top and start them, put them before Matt Ryan. I'm doing that in my league. I'm starting Gardner over Matt Ryan. Running backs, my start of the week is James Robinson versus Houston. So we're going double Jags here for start of the weeks. I just think they're going to score a lot. Houston's really bad. 27th ranked defense, just rock them. I mean, Robinson's been fantastic. I think he's gotten over 10 every week of the season so far, and 2 20-point outings. He's just been great. Mike Davis versus Atlanta, he's been lighting it up too. He had like 22 points this week versus I think they played Arizona. So just feel like you could just throw him out there again. Atlanta's defense stinks, like I said. Rock him. Then I put, so these next two, Mostert / McKinnon and Kenyon Drake / Edmonds. For the Mostert one, start him for sure if he's playing. If he's not healthy, start McKinnon. If McKinnon plays, that's like a lock. Whoever's playing Miami's going to do good. With the Kenyon Drake / Chase Edmonds ones, even if Drake is playing, which he's gonna, you could still start Edmonds versus the Jets. The Jets are really bad, and Edmonds has been factoring in for sure. So you can feel good about rocking either of them. I know Drake's been sucky so far, but I think he's going to turn it around. He might not be, he's not ever going to live up to what he was supposed to be, like at the end of the season last year, but he could still be good. Antonio Gibson versus the Rams. I think Antonio Gibson scored like 3 weeks in a row or something. He's been really good. I would rock him. The Rams are 15th. That's not bad at all. You can throw him in there for sure. Todd Gurley versus Carolina, 31st. He just went against one of the bad rushing defenses, the Packers. He scored 2 touchdowns. Feel good about throwing him in there again. Joshua Kelly versus New Orleans. Joshua Kelly had a rough outing when Eckler got hurt, but I think when he has a full-time game as a starter, he'll be useful. I didn't put him here, but if you have Justin Jackson, if you manage to pick him up and you need a running back to start, he's not a terrible option, but he's not like on my stardom list. Like, there's a lot of guys I would take before Justin Jackson. But if you have injuries, if you have Chubb or something and you can't get the Uranus and you can only get Justin Jackson, like, throw him in there. David Montgomery versus Tampa. David Montgomery has been okay. He got 10 last week. He was on my sit-em last week. 10's not great at all. But I think versus Tampa, he can definitely get a score. And they're going to have to run the ball because Foles is struggling. Sit of the week. I was so right about Joe Mixon on the stardom last week. He broke out. This week you sit him. And you freaking shop him like crazy, okay? So you sit him because Baltimore's the 8th ranked defense. You sit him because they're going to have a hard time versus Baltimore. You sit him because Baltimore always blows them out. And you sit him because he just flat out stinks, okay? I don't like Joe Mixon. He's just not good. So trade him, sit him, don't start him. If you start him, that's your consequence. I'm sorry. Miles Sanders versus Pitt. He's also another guy. Get him out of there. If you can trade him, trade him. Second-ranked defense. He had a bad outing against the Niners, who was an even lesser-ranked defense. So against Pitt, it's going to be even worse. Le'Veon Bell versus Arizona. They're the 24th ranked. I think Le'Veon can be decent for the rest of the year. I think that the Jets kind of have no choice but to throw him in the passing game a lot because their receivers stink. So I think he's going to be used a lot. But I just would not start him his first day back from the IR. I just wouldn't. Gaskin versus San Fran. He had a bad week last week. Don't start him again. And San Fran's just a good defense, so don't even bother. Melvin Gordon versus New England. I know he broke out last week, but New England's going to stop him. His yards per carry is actually really bad. He's just been good for fantasy, but not in real life. So don't even touch Melvin Gordon this week. And then Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman's not a terrible start if you need him, but I just don't think the Giants are going to have a good time running the ball. They just never do, so it's hard to ever rely on them, even though Devontae showed like a little bit of burst last week. Don't even bother. Wide receivers, DK Metcalf. I mean, start of the week could either be DK or Tyler Lockett. I mean, they're both going to go off, but I put DK just because Lockett's like a start every week. DK is at least a little questionable because Lockett's the better one. He's had 14 plus in every game so far. Minnesota's defense is dreadful. Just throw him out there. They have no like number 2 corner to cover him whatsoever. DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson versus Atlanta. Again, I'm going double here because both of them did good last week. Both of them are going to do good again. I feel almost better about Robbie Anderson, but DJ Moore's going to do good too. Atlanta stinks, man. And then any Dallas receiver versus NYG. We did this last week with Cooper Kupp and Woods. They both did well against the Giants, so just do it again. If you have Cooper, if you have Gallup, or if you have CD, any of them are good. I think all 3 will score. It's kind of crazy that I'm going against the Giants so hard. They are my team, but right now it's just like the fantasy numbers versus them is just insane. I don't know how it only says 20th. Beats me. Other teams are just probably even worse, like Atlanta's 23rd. Juju versus Philly. I have Ben already on my stardom. I think him and Juju are going to be linking together this week. Philly is not a good team, and Pitt didn't get to play last week, so they probably want to come out and unleash it. Marquise Brown versus Cincy. Brown had a better week. He had like 80 yards this week, so I think he's a good start. Cincy's D is not great. It's going to be a blowout, I think, so I think he's a decent bet. Justin Jefferson versus Seattle. Again, I have Kirk on my list. Thielen's a start every single week. Jefferson's not. So Jefferson, I'm saying yes, start him this week. Yeah, he had a good week this week. He had a good week the week before. Just start him again if you have him. Brandon Ayuk, he might still be out there on your waivers. He had another touchdown this week going against weak Miami. I would start him no matter who the quarterback is. But if it's Garoppolo, feel even better about it. This week, my emphasis was to not put anybody like Tyreek Hill or Kamara on this list because I did that last week, and it was just dumb because obviously you're going to start them every week, and I knew that, but I still put them just because of their matchups. Sit of the week, OBJ versus Indy. OBJ had a great week. I love Odell. The Browns just still are questionable. I think they're going to win this week through the run, but I don't know how I feel about OBJ. Ninth overall defense. He's had 9.9 and 5.2 against the higher ranked defenses. I checked his stats, and I just would not touch him. I think he's guaranteed he's not going to get like 13 or more. If you need to start him, I guess, but like there's so many better options. You could probably find Ayuk and Jefferson on your waivers still. Deontay Johnson versus Philly. I think it's going to be Juju's game. Deontay's still questionable, so I don't like messing with injured players like that. You never know what's going to happen. Devontae Parker versus San Fran. Devontae Parker had a great week last week. I was right about that stardom, but I definitely wouldn't touch him versus San Fran. I think Miami's going to struggle. Even though him and Fitzpatrick put up good fantasy points, they did not do that great versus Seattle, so I think it's going to just get even worse versus San Fran, who has a good D. Will Fuller versus Jax. Will Fuller's been on fire, but I think Jacksonville's going to clamp him down. They've been good against receivers, and who knows when he's going to get hurt again. I always feel a little shaky about starting a guy like him. Crowder versus Arizona. He's been great, but Arizona's the third-ranked D. I think they're going to get beat up bad, the Jets. I just don't know how they're going to compete. They lost to Denver, so it really is only going to get worse. Even though he's good, I would try to trade him or something because the team is just, you can't rely on it. You really can't. And then Gage versus Carolina. Julio and Ridley and Gage all had a rough night last night, so I wouldn't feel good about Gage. You're gonna start Ridley and Julio no matter what, but Gage I would sit. Okay, tight end. Start of the week, Evan Ingram. I hate Evan Ingram so much. He's so bad. But Dallas stinks at covering the tight end. The Giants are going to have to do some scoring. The Dallas defense is bad, so I could see Ingram lighting it up. The Giants receivers are kind of shaky, so I think Ingram's definitely going to at least get a score. I also have Ebron versus Philly, 30th ranked. Why not? Why not? I had Ebron as one of my waiver ads last week. I feel good about him, so roll him out against a bad defense. I have Schultz versus Giants just because you can throw anyone against them. He also has been very good, so why not? Tyler Higbee versus Washington. Tyler Higbee's been struggling. I have him on my fantasy team, but Washington's a bad defense, and I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I think he can get in a lot. He did it versus Philly, I think. He got 3 touchdowns. So, feel good about starting him this week. There's not a lot of choices at tight end. It's tough, so just start Higbee. Ian Thomas, he's like the sleeper of the week. He's going to have a good week. Atlanta's bad. Ian Thomas scored last week already, so just start him. If you can pick him up off the waivers, he's only owned at like 0.3%. Then my sit of the week is Mike Gesicki. I had him on. I think he's a repeat offender on the sit of the week. I think he was my sit of the week last week too, versus Seattle. He did really bad, 2 points. He's a repeat offender on this week's sit of the week versus San Fran the third. Just don't start him. I still think Gesicki has value. It's just that right now he's just not worth starting. Sit of the week. He's been ass versus these hard teams, so don't bother. Noah Fant, not only is he going against a good defense, but he's listed as questionable. He got banged up last week. Don't touch him. Locke is not back. I don't think so. Don't even waste your time. Hooper had a good game just now, but he's going against Indy, who's number 1 versus tight ends. Again, just like I don't know how to express this enough. There's just guys that you just don't start, and when you got matchups, tight end's such a streamable position that you want to play based off the matchup. So when you see first, just don't even bother. Drew Sample, he's been like on and off. I just think the Bengals are gonna have a bad week. That's why I have him here, even though they're 22nd against the tight ends. I just think Baltimore's gonna shut him out. So keep Drew Sample off your team. And Greg Olsen, he's been all right, but versus Minnesota, I think that they're just gonna go to Lockett, Carson, and Metcalf a lot. I don't think there's a lot of room in the offense for Olsen as is, let alone against like a top 15 ranked defense. So yeah. Defense and kickers. If you got LA, like I told you to last week, they got a super solid 12 points. You can keep them this week versus Washington if you have them. There's no point not to. They did 12 against the Giants. They're going to do good against Washington too. So if you got them like I told you to, then you're happy you got them this week too. I didn't even notice that they were playing Washington the week after, so it's like a nice little double combo right there. You don't even have to worry about picking up another D. I also have Cardinals versus Jets. The Jets stink. These are all matchup based. The Broncos are terrible. The Patriots are actually a good defense. The Niners, only if Garoppolo isn't playing. Mullins was throwing picks left and right. I would start the Dolphins if you need to. But if Garoppolo's playing, definitely don't. Steelers versus Eagles. Eagles stink. Steelers are going to beat them up bad. Chiefs versus Raiders. This is interesting. I think the Chiefs can only be a good defense this week just because of how many picks and stuff they get. But the Raiders are not like a bad team, so I wouldn't. That's not a home run D, but it's like something that if those other ones are gone, you can take them. And then the Cowboys versus the Giants. Like I said, I think the Giants are going to score this week, but chances of Daniel Jones throwing a pick six are not that low. So if you want to roll against that and you need a defense, why not pick up the Cowboys, right? And then kickers, Will Lutz, they're going against a bad team. Myers, he had good points last week. Suckup, Badgley, and Sanders. Sanders had like 18 points last week. Dolphins kick a lot of field goals. So the other guys I just picked based off matchups. Kickers is really hard too. It's like a toss-up every week. And then here's the fun part. Waiver ads. Justin Jackson, 9.8%. It's a hard choice this week. Do you want to go Dearness Johnson or Justin Jackson as your number one waiver? Chances are you're going to get them if you're, I would say if you're like 8th place or lower in a 10-man league and like 9th place or lower in a 12-man league. You can get one of them, hopefully. I would go with Dearness Johnson over Justin Jackson. I know I have him listed 4th or whatever, but the order doesn't matter. Dearness Johnson, I don't know who the heck this guy is. I know who Justin Jackson is. He's done decent before. That's the thing. That's why I'm shaky about this. But Dearness Johnson's in the Brown system. They're going to run a committee. He's going to be like Chubb. I don't know why he wouldn't be unless he's ass. So, like, I think the risk is worth it, though. I think you can throw him in and start him immediately if you need a filler. And same with Justin Jackson, though. He could be like Eckler. So, it is what it is. It's up to you what you think is more valuable. They're both going to be good. Damian Harris, I had Burkhead, so I'm going for Harris. I'm dropping Burkhead. He's going to be good. He ran hard, and Sony hit the IR. So, and Chase Edmonds, not only because Drake is a little banged up, but also Edmonds has value on his own now. So why not own him? Kyler uses him a lot out of the passing game. Scotty Miller's still only 15.4% owned. Godwin is out again this week, so start Scotty Miller if you have him and pick him up if you have him. Tim Patrick had a big week. I don't know how great he is, but you know it's worth a waiver ad. I'm sure there's guys that are worse on your team, especially if you're in a 12-man or higher league. Ian Thomas, I had him on my starts. Yeah, definitely pick him up if you need a tight end. Reggie Bonifon, he had value this week with Mike Davis. He had 10 carries. He had a touchdown. I would pick him up. I think he has value. When McCaffrey gets back, who knows what they're going to do. But for now, he might be a decent start. Herbert seems like he's starting to become that guy you can start every week. He's got running value. He's got passing value. He's been putting up a lot of points every week, so I would definitely own him on your roster. And then Cole Beasley has had like 12 points or more in his last 3 starts. Buffalo throws the ball a lot now. John Brown, him, and Diggs are all doing well, so I would add him. He's only 27.9% owned. And then drops. Traquan is on here again from last week. It's up to whether Michael Thomas is playing or not. If he's not playing, don't drop him. But if he's playing, you can just drop Traquan. He's done. And then Burkhead, he's done. I mean, he was asked this week. It's James White's backfield again, and I unfortunately started Burkhead. Sony Michel, IR, just get rid of him. He's kind of bad anyways. And then Golden Tate just hasn't done enough to be worthy of a roster spot. Sell high. Miles Sanders, if you could still sell him high, get rid of him. They're just so bad. Mike Davis, McCaffrey's on his way back, I think, in a week or two. So if you could trade him for like a solid, like consistent running back too, I would do it. Like if you can get Todd Gurley for Mike Davis straight up, I don't know who'd be dumb enough to do it, but pull the trigger. Joe Mixon, I can't emphasize it enough. He's bad. He just had a crazy week. You might be able to flip him for like a James Conner or a Todd Gurley or something. Do it. I promise you, you're not going to regret it. Cooper Kupp, I just think that they have too many weapons, and Kupp had a good week, so maybe you could sell him for somebody more consistent and in less of a big offense. OBJ, enormous week, but the Browns are still not trustable. Baker Mayfield is still not trustable. If you can get somebody better for him, then I would do it. Not even better, but somebody more consistent for sure. Myles Gaskin, I don't know if the hype train is still around on him, but I just think he's going to keep dying down as the weeks go. Miami's going to get worse and worse, and I don't know. They might change running backs once Tua comes in. We'll see. So I don't feel great about him. Crowder, he's a great receiver, and he's been doing good in fantasy, so maybe you'll be able to get rid of him for somebody solid. I would do that. The Jets are just not reliable. Ronald Jones, he proved me wrong last week. He had a good week, but Fournette's coming back. Sell him. When Fournette's there, he's not worth much, and he just had a big week, so maybe somebody will buy in on him. Buy low, we still have the same three injured guys, Michael Thomas, McCaffrey, and Adams. They're just worth a ton, I mean, when they're healthy. So, like, if you can get them for less than they're actually worth right now just because they're hurt, then do it. Kenyon Drake, yes, he's in a committee now. Yes, he's not going to be that great. But if you could somehow flip, like, a Cooper Kupp for Kenyon Drake, like, do it. I think people are going to sell him that low, and if they are, then I think he's worth owning. I think he still has potential. Le'Veon might be worth almost nothing. If you could buy him, I think he's going to have a role in this offense even more as a receiver just because their receivers are dead. So if you can buy low on Le'Veon, I think he has some sort of value. Todd Gurley had a big week, but people still might not be certain of him just because his yards per carry. But if you watched him out there last night, he ran so hard. He is still a great running back. He's still going to get his end zone carries. Buy low on Mr. Todd. Edelman had a rough week, but when Cam is back, he's going to be good again. So buy super low on him. If you can get rid of like Crowder for Edelman straight up, do it. Deebo Samuel, he's shaky, but I would take a shot at him if you could throw him like Golden Tate or something for him. We'll see. But like people might be selling him just because they see what Ayuk's doing. So. And then Ty has been abysmal, but there's no way Ty remains that bad. I mean, he's a good tight end in the league. I mean, a good receiver in the league. So I would definitely consider picking him up. I think there's a turning point where him and Rivers finally connect, you know? So yeah, that's it this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you guys watching the last video. It was one of my most viewed YouTube videos. I really care about this stuff a lot. I would love if I got more questions. Like, let me know what you guys think on the video. Leave a comment, leave a like, and subscribe. I'll take all personal questions, and I appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you. Nutchers, signing out.